It's 2024 and everyone's trying to take retro looking photographs. What's that all about? And do you want to take retro looking photographs as well? Well, in this video, I'm going to go through one of the things that has been heavily pushed towards achieving those kinds of photographs. But why do we strive to take those retro looking photographs? Well, I think it's because if you're a similar age to me, approaching 40, and you grew up in the 90s, the early 2000s, you used to take photographs possibly on an old point and shoot 35mm camera or one of the little digicams with the really low megapixel count. So they're the kind of photos that you're used to seeing growing up, and maybe it's just a nostalgia thing. You want to capture photos that have that kind of feel. Now, it's maybe not about the feel, it's about the memories that those photographs contain. Do we want to capture retro looking photos, or do we want to capture memories? You've probably seen a million adverts on your social media feeds for camera lenses that look like this. Now, this is pretty much a camera body cap with a hole drilled in it and the lens from an old disposable point and shoot film camera screwed onto it. You could probably quite easily make one of these yourself. I picked this one up on eBay for just over a tenner. That's 10 English pounds for anyone watching not from the UK. And I thought for that price, it was worth getting one, giving it a go and seeing just what all the hype was about. I'm going to show you some photos that were taken using this retro style lens on my Sony A7iii. The retro lens is 32mm, a fixed aperture of 10, and because the old disposable cameras had a fixed shutter speed of 1/100, so I set my shutter speed to 1/100 to try and capture photos that resembled the old disposable camera photographs. That left me with the ability to only control my ISO. Now, the old disposable cameras didn't have that function, but I found that I did have to use it anyway because of the different lighting conditions and to try and get the best out of the shots. So here we go, I'm going to take you on a journey around the city of York and show you the photographs that I captured with this camera. Please note, these photographs were edited in Lightroom, and after this little bit of the video, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of this lens, the editing that went into the photos, and I'll give you my overall final thoughts. So do stick about after you've had a look at the photos that I got. So as I mentioned earlier, the photos that you've just seen were edited in Lightroom. So next, I'm going to show you some of the raw photos next to some of the edited photos, so you can have a little look at what comes straight out of the camera. The colours of the photos in the raw format, they were pretty good. The highlights were pretty blown out, the shadows were pretty dark, but I could pull that information back through editing, so it wasn't so bad. The main thing that bothered me though were these little splodges all over the camera lens, which became particularly noticeable in the sky. Now, these things really did bother me as I was editing the photos, so I did choose to edit them all out wherever I could. It was quite a long and tedious process, and it kind of put me off using this lens again in the future. However, some people might like that. They might find it adds character, it adds a bit of a feel, but I did find that those marks were on the same photos in roughly the same places each time. Now, I don't know if that was dust in the lens that I couldn't get out, or if it was actual defects on the lens itself because they've come from recycled old disposable cameras. So to summarise, I'm not quite sure that I would bother using this lens again, and I wouldn't really recommend it unless you thought for £10–15 on eBay it might be worth having a go with. If you did really like the photos that I took and you didn't mind those lens defects, it might be worth getting for a bit of fun. However, like I say, you could make one of these yourself, and I'm not quite so sure it would be worth paying for one of the more expensive branded ones over one of the cheap ones that I got from eBay. However, I haven't tried one of the more expensive ones. Would that come without those lens defects that I noticed? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe if I could guarantee that the photos didn't have those splodges in, I'd be a lot more inclined to use it in the future. So does the retro lens give you the feel of the old vintage point and shoot 35mm or the old digicam photos? I'm not quite so sure. I'm a big fan of shooting film. This is an old point and shoot that I just got gifted recently, so I'm yet to try this one out, but I will be getting some batteries and I'll be popping some film in it soon, so there'll be an upcoming review of this camera. And because everyone's after that retro vibe, I'm going to do a video shooting with this camera and we'll see how that shoot goes. I've also just ran a roll of film through each of these extremely retro cameras. Now these are much older than me and I'd never used anything like these medium format cameras. I'm currently waiting for the film to be developed, and once that comes back I'll edit it into the video and be releasing that video on YouTube soon. And just the other day I picked up this old Russian A7iii 35mm film camera, and I'm looking forward to testing this one out. So if you want to see more videos of me testing out all these cameras, subscribe to the channel.